Alright, get ready. You definitely better garb up extra well for this one, because today we are diving in deep for an action-packed, hands-on adventure to learn of a technology that would not only help win a war, but also change the world forever.
That's right, we're in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, to learn more about a secret project that once went on in the area, as well as the birth of a city, a secret city. Let's take a closer look into this.
And what better way to investigate this history than with a visit to the American Museum of Science and Energy? This place will walk you through the background of nuclear science, how this top secret location came to be, and a new technology with a complex timeline that would later branch off into other exciting fields. Now, before we get too hands-on, I need a favor. Hit those buttons for me. No, not that one. You know what I mean. Now it is time for us to jump into all that history. In the late 1930s, the world had once again found itself in the midst of war, with the threat of new weapons being developed by Axis forces. It was around this time that Albert Einstein sent a letter to President Roosevelt, informing him that Germany may already be working on something very big. A race to develop new technology would begin, and the US needed to increase its efforts to build the atomic bomb. This would be called the Manhattan Project, and it was to be headed up by General Leslie Groves, who was establishing sites to produce the needed materials. The area just 20 miles west of Knoxville was chosen for a few strategic reasons, like its proximity to dams for energy supply, a series of mountainous ridges to shield other local populations, and it was far enough inland to dissuade foreign interference. But this was not the only location like this. There were a few others, and I'm sure you've heard of Los Alamos. For a project of this size, one of the key points of infrastructure was of course a workforce to power these facilities. Employees were kept in the dark and instructed to keep quiet about their daily tasks. Ever heard of the Calutron girls? These young ladies, many fresh out of high school, would work at stations like this, assisting the process along, completely unaware of the final goal. Here's where it gets complicated, and I hope you remember that periodic table. To achieve nuclear fission, uranium must be enriched by diffusing U-235 from U-238 atoms. This is done using mass spectrometers known as, yes, you guessed it, calutrons. When an extra neutron is added to uranium-235, it creates an unstable U-236 isotope that can split, causing a chain reaction. The K-25 diffusion plant spanned over 40 acres and was said to have been one of the largest buildings constructed at the time. So big, it seems that bicycles were actually used to get around this expansive workplace. And after all that work, the uranium was in hand. It was on August 6th of 1945 that the world would find out what the secret city had produced, as an atomic bomb was dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, another would fall on Nagasaki, helping bring an end to the war. After this display of might, the US immediately began creating a stockpile of these new weapons to be used as a deterrent. Yes, the genie was out of the bottle, and would not have any plans to be going back in. It wasn't long before this admiral became known as the father of the nuclear navy. Because, well, nuclear subs are totally a thing. Now, of course, a byproduct of nuclear fission is radiation, and dealing with these hazardous materials is a science unto its own as well. The dismantling of outdated warheads requires extreme caution, but also something has to be done with all that nuclear waste too. And here, you can learn about the handling of all kinds of dangerous materials. Older facilities would eventually need to be torn down, and this also would require some very specific methods and regulations. So what is next for the nuclear world? Well, there's a lot more to this technology than just making bombs. This research has led to developments in healthcare as well, ranging from diagnostics to treatment. And yes, the museum has displays that deal with some of those closely related sciences, such as X-ray technology. it does seem that Oak Ridge was extremely crucial in the development of nuclear power. And throughout these exhibits, you can learn all about the different energy sources that work together to provide electricity for a growing population. But it's not just atomic stuff in here. We're talking about environmental and earth sciences too. You can even compare different types of soil based on geographic locations. During your visit to the American Museum of Science and Energy, you will not only experience the timeline of nuclear research, but it is also a great place to learn about those who contributed to modern science, while examining the uses of both old and newer technologies. You can also get a close look at how these devices function, and catch a glimpse into what the future may hold. You might even get to see how a supercomputer works, or possibly have the chance to check out a 3D printed Jeep. I spent a little over an hour roaming around in here, playing with whatever this is and trying that thing over there, all for science, of course. And yes, it was definitely time well spent. So if you find yourself in the East Tennessee area, be sure to come on in and have an exploration into the pathways of local history that have produced such a massive global impact. And I'll see you soon from somewhere out in the world.